Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, Golden sends a warning to those who disrespect him and his wife. People's National Party President Mark Golding has declared that he will defend himself and his wife, Sandra, against attacks following potentially defamatory statements allegedly made by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. Roy Clark has been given until 4 o'clock Monday afternoon to, among other things, issue a written apology for alleged statements he made about Mr. Golding's relationship with his wife in a WhatsApp group. Lawyers for Mr. Golding wrote to Mr. Clark on Friday. Speaking at the Alligator Pond Division's annual conference in Manchester on Sunday, Mr. Golding touched on the matter briefly, arguing that the Jamaica Labour Party is using anything it can to try and distract the people of Jamaica.
And then after that, comrades, Donald's do a poll and show say what we gone and we are it now 8% ahead. And then start get even more worried, man. And so, comrades, this is them strategy do. This is what's going on. Them are trying to do anything them can do to distract Jamaica. Them come with all kind of foolishness. But we are not focusing on that. If them say certain things and disrespect me and my wife, my Empress Sandra, you know, say, it now go so, you know. It now go so. But we have work to do.
Jury pool for possible cartel retrial tainted by Sir P and other vloggers claims Sean Storm's sister. Sister for incarcerated entertainer Sean Storm Campbell has submitted that widespread discussions about the murder case on popular YouTube programs like Politrix Watch will result in her brother and his co-accused not getting a fair trial if a retrial is permitted. I have seen many social media posts from vloggers like Sir P, who do not conform to any of the traditional norms of journalism, who have widespread viewership, who espoused all the widest theories, which will undoubtedly influence many Jamaicans who cannot be counted on to be so entranced by the Bible, foisted up and to confess their bias, she said in her affidavit. The argument was highlighted this morning by Acting Director of Public Prosecutions, Claudette Thompson, during a preliminary objection in which she asked the Court of Appeal to rule that the pleading should not be allowed. However, the court was of the view that arguments about the effects of pretrial publicity should be allowed. Campbell's sister further submitted that she did not believe that the Jamaican court, which she described as having an inadequate jury vetting and a polling system, will be able to find unbiased jurors and get them to serve. She also said it is doubtful whether any trial judge's direction could cure any consequent unfairness. Meanwhile, the court has struck out arguments from one of Cartel's sons, claiming that the entertainer is unable to participate in another trial because of his ill health. Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, in rejecting the claim that Cartel's heart could not sustain a retrial, said the court would only be able to entertain such a claim if there was evidence from a medical expert. She also struck out the claim from the son that his grandmother prays every night for his father, noting that the court is not able to say whether he witnessed her praying nightly. Several excerpts from affidavits submitted by the two entertainers and their co-accused, Kahira Jones and Andre St. John, were struck out as argumentative, speculative, and legal arguments during the prosecution objection raised this morning at the hearing to determine whether the men are to be retried or a judgment of acquittal should be handed down. The men who were charged with the murder of Clive Lizard Williams in September 2011 were convicted in March 2014 for Williams' murder and sentenced to life in prison a month later. The Court of Appeal upheld their convictions in 2020. However, on March 14, 2024, the United Kingdom-based Privy Council, Jamaica's final court of appeal, overturned the convictions on the grounds of juror misconduct. Cartel and Campbell are represented by Esat Buchanan and Alexandra LeBeach, while Jones and St. John are represented by John Clark and Ibal Chevaria. Tyler shot dead at home in Fraser's Content, St. Catherine. The St. Catherine North police are investigating the shooting death of a 37-year-old man in the community of Fraser's Content in the parish on Sunday. Dead is Sheldon Reed, a Tyler of Logwood Crescent in the area. The police report that at about 3 p.m., Reed was at home when explosions were heard. The police were summoned and they found Reed with gunshot injuries to his upper body. The Spanish Town Criminal Investigation Branch is investigating the matter. In recent times, Fraser's Content has figured prominently on the police crime reports. Public transport operators in Portland and St. Mary withdraw service. Taxi operators in Portland and St. Mary joined their colleagues in withdrawing their services on Monday to protest what they say is the unfair demerit points system and the suspension of license. In Portland, with the exception of a few taxi operators, the majority of vehicles remained parked from as early as 6 a.m. Monday. Drivers who ply the routes between Port Antonio and Hector's River and Buff Bay and Port Antonio gathered at the Foreshore Road and at the cenotaph at various hangout spots in the parish. Some of the operators held placards, while others could be heard demanding justice in relation to the traffic rules. The public transport operators said they were particularly upset about the demerit points issue, which has led to the suspension of the driver's license of some of their colleagues. The protest also left many students stranded, forcing them to walk to school while disrupting commerce throughout the parish. And in Onoto Bay and Porta Maria in St. Mary, the public passenger transport system was grounded after taxi and bus operators also withdrew their services on the major routes in the parish. The police and the transport authority personnel were visible in Port Antonio, Onoto Bay and Port Maria as they kept an eye on the protesters. Taxi strike and roadblock disrupts the St. Elizabeth School. Exams at the Hampton School in St. Elizabeth, scheduled for Monday, were postponed until Tuesday following a roadblock and a taxi strike. Principal Marvel Charlton Brown told the news that some students were affected. We would have been impacted in terms of attendance because our route, especially the Santa Cruz to Malvern leg of the journey, were blocked in several places. We had a substantial number of students who were still able to come to school, especially those coming from the other end, South Junction, so we had regular school, she said. We would have been starting internal exams today for the 10th graders. We have just postponed those exams. Students who have not turned up would not be disadvantaged. We have pushed back our internal exams by a day, hoping that there will be no more disruptions tomorrow, she added. She said while some external exams ended on Friday, sixth form students are still sitting exams. They are still doing CAPE. We had 2 subjects today, and we had to make special plans for some of the students. We had one student who just could not make her way here this morning for her Account Unit 1 CAPE exam, she said. She explained that the student sat the exam at the St. Elizabeth Technical High School in Santa Cruz. We also had one other student who needed to get here to do her afternoon exam, but there were no center near her able to facilitate her, so we had to send our driver to pick her up and deliver her here, she said. Commuters island-wide were left stranded on Monday following industrial action by several taxi operators. This follows a meeting last Wednesday between stakeholders and the Island Traffic Authority about potentially reinstating driver's license suspensions due to accumulated demerit points. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has scheduled a meeting for Tuesday to discuss the public passenger operators' issues with the suspension of license. Welder faces wounding charges following chopping incident. A 28-year-old welder of Williams Avenue in Maypen, Clarendon, has been charged with wounding with intent after allegedly using a machete to inflict wounds on a woman. According to reports, the incident happened at the home of David Hines on Tuesday, May 14. Police say at about 10 a.m., Hines and the woman were having a dispute when he allegedly used a machete to chop her 2 times to the left shoulder, causing a wound that bled profusely. The woman was rushed to the hospital, where she was later admitted. Hines was subsequently charged on Sunday, June 9. His court date is being finalized. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.